Hello and welcome to Caney Rail Productions. In this video, we'll see the big boy pull into Union Station, and we will be chasing it across northeast Kansas from LINWOOD to Topeka. I got lots of cool videos, photos, and stories, so let's get right into the video. Sorry if the Union Station segment felt rushed. I kind of forgot to put it in the script, so it's kind of a last minute thing. I arrived at KC at about 4:30-ish after getting through the evening rush and finding my parking that may or may not have been overpriced. Looking at you, Central Kansas Rail fan. I went to the top floor and set up my shop. About 30 minutes ahead of schedule, the big boy makes its grand entrance in the KC. I also get photobombed by a random dude. Fun fact, there's a National Archives and Records building right by Union Station behind the parking garage I was in. I then moved to the other side of the parking garage to get an awesome view of an intermodal train passing by while the big boy backs up into Union Station. It was backing up really slowly, so I'll speed up the footage by a bit. After I moved back to the other side to get some B-roll, a small, what I assumed to be local, passed by with the SD40-2 trailing. After a bit, a very long UP manifest passed with an SD70M trailing third. After the crowd dispersed, I decided to go down and take a few close-up photos with the big boy. Once I got all the photos I wanted, I decided to pack up and head back home. Next up is the chase from LINWOOD to Topeka. We started our trip to LINWOOD with a quick stop to get some donuts and gas. You might be wondering why I'm not starting my chase at Santa Fe Junction. The reason is I didn't want to get stuck in the morning traffic and also get stuck with all the other rail fans trying to chase it out of KC. So me and my dad decided to start our chase a little bit more out west in the more flat and open area of Kansas. After about a 45-minute drive and a detour because of construction, we got to LINWOOD, which has the safest crossing of all time. We still had some time to kill, so I took a few photos of the spot to scope it out. I came here back in 2023 when the big boy came through, so I was still familiar with the spot. Eventually, I'm at KCS 3929 and we talked a bit before the train came. I'd also like to point out the absurd amount of sweat flies in LINWOOD, and they would follow us all the way to Topeka and all the way back home. After hearing the whistle, 5 minutes later, it rounds the corner. There's a bridge a little bit down the tracks from the crossing that it has to slow down on. I imagine it's because it's old and the last thing UP needs is the big boy in a ditch. After it passed, we were on our way to our next spot, which is a little north of Lawrence with a grain silo. And this is where we encountered a group of Karens. So, this group of Karens set up a photo line on the backside of a crossing where I originally wanted to set up. So I went to the front side of the crossing to try and find a place to set up where I wouldn't get in their way and would still get the shot I wanted with the signal in the frame. Not even 2 seconds after I unfold my tripod, they start yelling at me and my dad and how we were in their shot and how we were trespassing. Now, as you can see in this photo I took with a 55mm lens, I was not trespassing. From what I understand, photo lines work something like this. People who want to get zoom shots set up at the front side of the crossing so they don't have to worry about the crossbucks, and people who want to get close-ups go to the back side. So I don't understand why they went to the back side of the crossing with zoom lenses. Keep in mind, this crossing is the most crowded crossing I came across this whole entire chase, and that was the only part of the crossing remotely available. I eventually moved my tripod to the other side of the tracks, and I took photos from where I originally tried setting up. After a long wait, we finally see it emerge from the trees about a mile away. And just before it rounds the curve, this happens.
Please don't put things on the track. That is dangerous and you can cause accidents.
Okay, cool, thanks.
I don't think it's cool. Especially when it flies off and hits one of those little kids. You're not going to think it's cool either.
Now, you may have your opinions about putting coins on the tracks, but I don't think it's that bad. But if you disagree, oh well. Everyone at the crossing was fed up with them at this point because they were just moaning and groaning about every little detail. But don't worry, it gets even better. As I get my shot of it coming around the curve, I move to the other side of the tracks where I originally set up to try and get a shot of it with the red signal. And they yell at me again for getting in their shot, even though I'm a good 5 foot behind the crossing arm, and they still have a good line of sight of the locomotive. Sorry for the yap sesh, here's the video. After that crazy current situation, we headed off to try and find our next spot. Up until now was planned, so we were going uncharted from now on. We heard on the radio from the stopped intermodal train that the crew had to get out and help keep the insane crowd back from the rails. I found a spot But my dad, with some sort of spider sense, says we should go a bit farther down because of the big Foamer Express we were stuck behind for a good 3 or 4 miles before the road became 4 lanes. So I found a new spot, which turned out to be my personal favorite of the chase, on a big sweeping curve. When we got there, I took some photos of the field with the factory in the background and the signals. We didn't have to wait long before we saw the headlight on the rails and that all-familiar chugging sound. After it passed, we were going to end our chase, but we decided to keep on going since we were just so close to Topeka anyway. While we were going on the highway, we got super lucky and got to pace the big boy because we had a car in front of us that was pacing in a no-pass zone, and since there was construction, we got on the left side of the highway, which was an even better shot.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
After the pace, we stopped at a Casey's in Topeka to stop and find our next spot. We eventually decided to keep going down past Topeka to skip the crowds. Once we got there, we met some older guys that were really friendly and shared a lot of good history of Topeka and the railroad. We were right at the spot where the UP line split between going up north towards Nebraska or down south in Kansas. So naturally, a grain train with an SC-70M stopped while waiting for the big boy to pass. We started getting some chatter about the crowds on the radio, which confirmed our suspicion of the crowds being bad in Topeka. We also heard that they were going to tack on a few boxcars and a few hopper cars with a caboose. I was hoping the boxcars were the TTX 250 boxcars that were seen earlier in the trip, which I eventually learned was the case from one of the older guys I was talking to. Since we could see for a good mile or two in each direction, we could see the big boy about 10 minutes before it reached our crossing. After a small wait, we saw the big boy for the final time with the TTX 250 boxcars and a caboose. And with that, the chase comes to an end. But we still got a few more rail fanning things left to do. On the way home, we see one more UP train, and my personal favorite, the Gardner local with the BN caboose. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked my video, like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. I'm really close to 500 subscribers, so any support would be greatly appreciated.